Hello and welcome to the Cup of Triathlon podcast. We're brought to you every week by our sponsors oxygenaddict.com, fueledbycake.com and raceforce.co.uk. I'm joined by the lovely Helen Murray, my co-host. Helen, how are you?
I think it sounds like I'm a bit better than you, Rob.
Just clear your throat there.
There we go. Yeah, I'm fine.
I just got through the intro, just got through it before the voice broke.
You've actually saved me from a really boring job that I had started, putting books on a bookcase.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm quite happy to be talking all things triathlon.
Domestic bliss, kids. Welcome to married life.
It's great fun. My legs hurt today, Rob.
Tell us why, Hells.
I did a half marathon yesterday, but it was a bit hilly, and I'm feeling the effects of said hills in and around Macclesfield.
Helen, you are the only person I've ever coached who comes back from a month-long break with their first official session back being a half marathon race.
Yeah, I thought I may as well.
Good run for you though, mate. Second lady overall.
Yeah.
And rumour has it, if you had 30 seconds more preparation in you, you might just have taken your first ever overall win. Is it true? Is the rumour true that you were caught with less than 400 metres to go, Helen?
Yep. I literally led from mile 3 to mile 12.9. And then someone who earlier on had said, "You're looking really good, have a great race," when I left her, then caught me up again.
Breaks your heart, doesn't it?
Well, it was just very, very
breaks your heart.
Badly paced on my part, but good experience. Good to. I don't think I would have done that a year ago. So you know.
You mean gone out and smashed yourself off at incorrect preparation?
Yeah, or even recorded the time I did on a hilly course.
I see. I'm with you.
Yeah. So no, it's all good. We can learn from these things, and pacing is key.
Pacing is key, yeah. Well, Macclesfield is loaded in the back end, isn't it?
Yeah, a little stinger or two at mile. The whole thing just seemed to be hilly.
There is nothing flat around the area at all.
No, and this road actually, there's a road that I really, really love cycling down, and I only realised on maybe 2 or 3 days ago that I'd have to be running up that, and I was like, geez, that is a long pull.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah. There we go. Good times.
Good times, baby. Well, you did better than me. I was all lined up for my sneaky race comeback.
Oh.
And the bike was fired up. It had the race wheels on. I was ready to go. And in the middle of the night, there was a patter of tiny feet. I said, "Daddy, I don't feel well." And 30 seconds later, poor little Xander was exploding at both ends.
Oh no! Oh no! Okay.
So it
didn't happen. You know what?
It was the middle of the night, several hours awake, catching puke in hands and wiping.
Delightful.
Anyway, yeah, we're not going to go there, are we?
Maybe though, Rob, a blessing in disguise.
Do you think?
Yep, blessing in disguise, because
it all happens for a reason and all that.
Correct, and you might have. This is all hindsight. You might have done more damage had you, I don't know, hurt your Achilles a little bit or something, and then you would have been even more annoyed.
Yeah,
so surely this is like leaving you absolutely fired up for next season.
I am foaming at the mouth,
yeah,
Helen.
Exactly.
I'm like a rabid dog loose at the side of a Fuerteventuran road. That's what I am.
I like the description there. Better than an Argentinian dog that just follows you around all day. They do. I'm not joking. What you could do, Rob, here's a solution for you. Go and find a race in the other hemisphere.
Oh, come on now. There's no way that's going to happen.
No, I know.
There is no way. I'll tell you what has been happening, though. I've been hovering around the enter button of none other than... Go on, guess what I've been hovering on for next summer. You get 3 guesses.
For next summer?
For next summer.
Okay, one guess would be Ironman UK.
Incorrect, actually, but good try.
Okay.
Good try. In the past, that might have been an option, yeah? Go on.
I'm thinking what about Slate Man?
Well, yeah, in the build-up, Slate Man's on the cards for sure.
In the build-up, you say?
In the build-up, yeah.
Okay, are we talking outdoors?
Oh, she's close, but she's no cigar.
Okay, fail.
I've been looking on the 25th of June at Triathlon X, the rebranded Wasdale X that is moving to Ambleside.
No.
Yeah. And there's just something about it that says to me, love the Lake District, love the Ambleside area, love running in the hills, love the idea of going out on the road bike for a big tough hilly thingy. It'd be something totally different for me. Not hours and hours down on the aero bars.
Yeah.
No possible time pressure
No.
to chase a time. Just a real sort of marker down to go out and get properly fit again and go out and enjoy being out in the hills for half a day.
So is there half a day? Is it a half?
Well,
Do you actually mean
12
more
hours.
like
Yeah, 14 hours.
40?
There's 24 hours in a day, Helen.
You know I can't do
All
maths,
right.
but I would say that would be
All
nearer
of the
two-thirds.
daylight hours. Yeah, nearer most of the day. I
rather than
suppose.
half a day. Half a day in my mind's like 5-6 hours, isn't it?
It sure is, yeah.
So it wouldn't be that.
I'm excited about it, though. I was looking at the pictures and thinking, oh, yes, love that bike route.
Yeah.
And I really fancy the idea of...
So is there anything
going out
stopping you
for
from
a-
doing it?
There's not... Well, other than
Family and,
my
life.
crazy brain having been able to run for about 7 times pain-free in 5 years, and now I'm trying to enter the world's hardest triathlon.
Well,
Other than complete lack of common sense, Helen, there's nothing stopping me from entering.
okay, I say do it,
Yeah, I
and
love it. Thank you.
that's all you need. Do it. Worst case scenario, you can't do it, you volunteer for it.
Good call.
Always seeing
Yeah,
the positive side.
yeah, you're right. And I just think that it not being a big crazy branded European race would
so much
help
better.
the whole sort of family situation at this end, and it's less than half the price as well, of
There you
course.
go, sold.
There we
And it's on the
go.
doorstep.
Vaguely.
Practically.
Yeah, sleep in the camper van the night before. That'd be lovely.
There you go, that's your race season sorted.
Sure is. I want some adventure, Hells. That's what I'm into now.
Adventure. It's the way
Yeah,
forward.
The Endurance Life website, after you sent me there earlier today, has got like the 10 races you must do before you die. Have you seen that section?
Yep.
Oh, it's like crack for a guy like me. That section. Looking at it and going, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, 5 days in Chile. Yeah, put me down for that.
Yeah, Costa
Good one.
Rica, across,
Yeah,
New Zealand,
yeah.
all of it. We can dream, we can dream.
Good times. Right, come on, let's do some race results from this week.
Oh, Rob, I was as excited about this week as I was last week. And last week I was pretty, geared up and fired up for this. This
Certainly
week,
were.
well, it was the conclusion of the Always Aim High series. We had Hever Castle. We had Arias in North Wales. There was Emma Kate Lidbury making her Ironman debut. And then loads and loads of Kona prep. So where do you want to start?
Exciting times. I was going to let you call, actually. I really think we should start with our mate Emma Kate Lidbury at Mallorca, because I think that is a pretty stonking debut, personally. I don't know what your thoughts are on this.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant debut. So it was her first Ironman, and I think she had thought that while she was over in Europe for the 70.3 World Championships, and she had talked to you, hadn't she, about she was thinking of doing her first Ironman this year.
Now, she was in the same stable as Jessie Thomas, wasn't she? She was training with the Purple Patch guys.
Yep.
And although she's not with them anymore, I don't think, I wondered whether it was a similar sort of... I don't know whether she's still in contact with, what's his name, Matt Dixon, because his advice to Jessie Thomas was obviously, look, you've gone all that way and you've not had the race you wanted. Why not just have a crack at an Ironman while you're there? And I don't know whether Emma Kate's had any kind of preparation. You've got to assume she's prepared a little bit more.
No, I think she said that she
yeah.
had upped her rides to 5-hour rides.
Right.
The swims were a bit longer.
Just off the back of the 70.3 training, then, basically.
Yeah, but I don't think it was exactly the same decision.
Right.
I'm in Europe. I'm going to go for it. I think she had thought about it a
Maybe
little
she
bit
planned
before.
it and kind of was under the radar a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, she said she had done more 5-hour rides in her prep, and she had upped I think just a bit of time in the pool, and I guess some of the runs had been longer. But again, I don't think she had done major running.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'll tell you what, she's really put a mark down as being a super decent swimmer, because she talks about training with Jerry Lopez at Pier something. Give me a number.
I want to say
Pier
24
22
or 26.
26? Yeah, Pier 26. There you go. She swam 55 flat, which put her 2.5 minutes clear of the nearest woman. And to put it in perspective, she was only like 3 minutes down on Richie Nichols. So seriously decent swimming. I mean,
Yeah.
it's what, 5 minutes down on James Kanama, who's decent swimmer. So she's had a really good swim there.
Yeah.
And that's going to make her a genuine front pack contender, isn't it, in any Ironman race that she goes to?
Yeah.
She's then rolled along in 5:09, which again is like the second fastest women's split of the day.
Yep.
She's only 3 minutes behind the split of Daniela Samler, who ended up taking the win. But there wasn't much between them, was there, coming out of T2? It was like a handful of seconds at T2.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Emma Kate finished it off with a 3:21 run. But she is a really strong biker, isn't she?
Yeah,
Really
strong swim biker, I think we've got to call her now.
Definitely.
And while 3:21 isn't like the greatest run in the universe, it's it's
Solid.
a decent run for your first Ironman, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely. Put a marker down. Brilliant. So she finished
Yeah.
in 9:31.
How
49.
about that for your first Ironman?
Yeah.
And it's not a flat, fast course either.
Right.
So
Really
big
well done.
respect to her for that.
Absolutely.
I think she's got to be looking to going close to 9 hours on one of the fast courses when she's back into it next season, and she's got a bit of confidence now.
Yeah, definitely. She could.
She'll be running down close to 3 hours next time as well. So
It'll be. She'll be a good person to keep an eye on next year for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And she said that she had, or it seems that she had asked Rachel Joyce for a few tips, because I think they used to train together when they were both in the UK.
yeah, I think so.
And she said that, what did she say to us? She came back to us about how are the DOMs, and she said that you can't exactly express in public via social media the words you want to use.
Oh, bless her. Walking backwards down the stairs. Is she in some hotel out in Mallorca still?
I think so. So, yeah. But
that's
I got
brilliant.
the impression that she really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, really enjoyed it, loved it, almost like when's the next one kind of thing. So
Good for her.
yeah.
Good for her. Good. So Daniela Samler takes it out in 9:24. Emma Kate Lidbury in second in 9:31. Alexandra Tondeur in 9:34. And over on the men's side, did I call this last week? Do you remember what my prediction was?
You said Timo Bracht, didn't you?
I said Timo, and I also said I didn't know how old he was, but boy, he's
40.
got to be getting on a bit. He is 40.
Yeah.
A relative youngster relative to me, but he's been around for longer than I have in triathlon. So it's blooming brilliant to see him winning races still. That's a real feather in his cap, isn't it?
It's like a Crowie, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, for those not in the know, he's been around for years and years and years, and obviously being of German descent, he's had several cracks at really pushing the pace at Frankfurt and at Roth. And it's, in fact, has he won Frankfurt a couple of times?
I don't know.
I want to say he's won Frankfurt. I'm going to check that as you're talking.
Okay, well, he did blooming well in
Okay.
Mallorca, I can tell you that right now. He won by, what did he win by, Rob? He won by a good
Have I got
2 minutes. So
Just,
Timo Bracht
just flicked off the page.
finished ahead of James Kanama, or Kanama, how do you say him? I know.
Kanama, I think.
Who did 8:19, and then Alessandro De Gasperi was third in 8:23. Richie Nichols, he came fifth in 8:32. And we said last week there are a few names on the start lists on both the male and the female side of people whose perhaps their Kona hopes for this year hadn't quite gone to plan.
Yeah.
They're trying to get the points in early for next year. So James would be one of them. Eamon Mullen over on the women's side, she's had a really tricky season as well with injury, and she didn't manage to finish in Mallorca either. So disappointing race for her. And then I think Harry Wilk.
Just seen a picture of her on Twitter. talking about doing Barcelona.
Yeah.
So did she have a mechanical or something and have to drop out?
I'm sure that's what I read. And Harry Wiltshire didn't finish either, and she was trying to say to him, "Hey, come over to Barcelona."
He's heading there as well. I've just read that on Try 24/7. He's going to go and race at
There
Barcelona.
you go.
But he got halfway around the run, didn't he? So it's not like it's been a half a bike ride and get a
No.
flat for him. He was off the bike in fourth, I think. So
Hey, he did it. You know that he can. If anyone can, Harry can. He's the one last year who literally chased the Kona qualification, didn't he?
did he do like 10?
It was
He did 10
something
Ironmans last
crazy
year.
from the start of the season to the finish to get to Kona, and I think he sealed it in Japan.
It's a lot of stress on a young body, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, he's on a track to have done 100 Ironmans by the time he's 30, the way he's going. Take it easy, Harry. Take it easy. Don't burn yourself out, mate.
I think this year he hasn't raced as much because he's been focusing on his bar course.
Yeah, he's a bright lad, isn't he?
He's a clever cookie. So I think
Qualified lawyer and
an Ironman
interesting
athlete
stuff.
on the side. There we go. All the other way
Right.
around.
Take us to Chattanooga, baby.
Oh, Rob, right. Well, on our Twitter feed at Cup of Try, we've tweeted a photo of this one. Have you ever seen such a close finish at the end of an Ironman race? This is like 8 hours of racing, and it came down to a sprint finish, not between just two athletes, between three of the guys. And the photo just shows them. They've all crossed the line, and they have literally just collapsed across the finish line.
Yeah, it's beastly. I just found a video of it, actually. I might stick the video up on our Cup of Try page later on, the YouTube of it.
Yeah.
And there's like 2 meters or 3 meters between the winners, and then 20, 30 meters back to the guy in third. And, with 100 meters to go, they've ripped at each other. And it's 8:08 they've run as well.
Yeah.
So
They finished within 8 seconds, first, second, and third. It was mad. And I followed a little bit on the Ironman Live, and they were sort of saying that, one of them it was like he was up with 2 miles to go, and he was walking through an aid station, and they were closing down, and it's like, oh.
yeah, it was Mathieu Bro, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mathieu Bro had led, and he had quite a healthy lead, and he just fell apart with 3 miles to go, and then somehow hung on to them. How do you pronounce this now? It's Kirill Kotsigarov from Estonia.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Kotsigarov. I'm going to give that a go. So he finished third at Ironman UK a couple of years ago. My little memory tells me. So he snuck through. Mathieu Bro just gets second place, and he looks absolutely gubbed at the finish line. He barely gets over. He falls, and poor, bless him, whole world of pain. And then Stefan Schmidt in third place. But what's most interesting about that, mate, there's about 12 minutes covering the first 10 places.
Wow.
8:08 gets you the win. 8:20 gets you 10th place, and not a sausage.
That's insane, isn't it?
It really is, yeah.
Wow. Because you don't. I mean, sometimes you get a close race, don't you? But it's not that often. So that's just mad.
One for the good bikers, because it's a long bike as well, 116 miles.
Ooh.
To make up for the downriver swim. They were out of the water in under 39 minutes, apparently.
Wow. I think one of the fastest.
One for us, Hells.
Well,
Get in
yeah.
there.
One of the fastest swims there was like 35 minutes or something crazy a couple of years
Awesome.
ago. And we should say Carrie Lester of Australia won the women's race there quite comfortably.
Sure did.
Yeah.
We haven't got any interest, but Lisa Roberts and Kim Schwabenbauer in second and third. We'll get it up on the Cup of Try page and let people watch that. That'll be good link bait, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Should we move on to Snowdonia, Rob?
Snowdonia.
Oh.
I'll tell you the little picture of this. What a beautiful day for it.
It looked beautiful. Really, really beautiful. And
it has in the past been like 3 degrees and a howling northerly, and it looks like they perfectly got the weather for it.
I think they brought it forward by a couple of weeks this year, actually.
Yeah. Stop putting all these great races on the same weekend. You can't have the Arias and Snowman on the same weekend, guys. Come on. Spread it out by a week. You'll get all the same athletes racing twice.
This one, they had it, so they, again, Always Aim High went across the weekend. So they had the sprint on the Saturday and then the standard distance on the Sunday. And it involves running up Mole Shabod, which is cheeky little.
Cheeky little number, isn't it?
Yep, it is. So it's a decent, decent test for sure.
It's a decent day out.
Yeah.
70k on the bike and then run up and down a little mountain. And it is proper fell running as well, isn't it? There's none of this sort of, it's a bit hilly.
No.
It's a proper...
It's a mountain in Snowdonia.
Covered in sheep poo.
Yeah, correct.
It's the one.
Anyway, the series was won. I think we mentioned it last week. The favourites. So Ewan Brown won yesterday, as did Natalie Seymour. So they both won the series overall, and they get to go off to Nevis. That's the prize, which is in the Caribbean. It is one of the best prizes in triathlon.
That's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, fantastic. And I think entry to the Nevis Triathlon as well, just to finish off the season in style.
That's my kind of prize.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Eating baked beans on toast, but you're going to Nevis because you've won it. You don't want to win cash. You don't want to win shoes. You want to win a foreign holiday.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Get out there. I can't find the full results here.
Right,
mate.
okay, so Ewan Brown won it. And he did it, just over... He nearly had a 5-minute win, actually, ahead of Alex Foster.
Oh, really?
Yep. So Ewan Brown won in 3 hours and 23 seconds. Alex Foster second in 3 hours and 5 minutes. And then Tom van den Busche was third in 3 hours and 11 minutes. So,
cool.
There we go. So that was decent. And then on the women's, Natalie Seymour, she won in 3 hours and 40, ahead of, I did find this earlier, Lindsay Griffiths in 3:49, and then Celia Boothman in 3:54.
Jolly good. And then winners of the sprint race, Thomas Nesham and Helen Talbot.
Do you know how young he is, or how old? He's
like 14, is he, or 15?
15 years old.
He doesn't look it in the picture here. He looks like he's 30, but he's had an uphill paper round, that lad. Maybe it's just a bad photo.
Probably. Never mind.
Doesn't matter how uphill it's been, does it, if he's going that fast?
No.
Good lad. Well done, mate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it certainly is.
And
right, to North Wales.
Yes, fill me in, Rob.
To North Wales and the Erias middle distance and standard distance triathlon.
Was this the one that you were going to go and do?
It was. I was going to sneak into the standard distance. And I'll tell you now, I would not have troubled the winner, the fabulous Dan McParland, the little ginger dancer from up north in Lancaster. He's a really, really good lad. Do you remember he nearly won the Outlaw a few years ago?
No, see, I don't remember that.
A couple of years ago, he was leading the Outlaw,
okay.
and God bless him, with 3 miles to go, like the cameraman said to him, come on, you can still win it, and he just goes, no, I can't, I'm done.
Oh no!
And just weaved all over the path for the last few miles, just completely exploded. Bless him. If you get back on YouTube and watch it, Dan's a really great lad who was with Manchester Tri Club for several years, and we've had some fun rides together in the past, so it's good to see him making a comeback there. 2:47 takes the win by 10 minutes from Gordon Kilroy and Richard Perry in third. Ladies race was run by Tracy Shipley, another one of the Tri-Central kids from back in the day, I think, from Chester Tri Club. Victoria Cole in second, and
Laura Bell in third.
Laura Bell in third. Now, the middle distance race, obviously it's kind of like, it's middle distance plus this, isn't it? Because the bike's 105k
106.
and 106.
Yeah.
We'll not do it short.
No.
I was talking to one of my athletes who did it today, Andy Heaps, who finished 7th, and he was like, that hill is the longest hill in Great Britain. It's like 7 miles long. So I just didn't think it was ever going to end. And then I was like, well, it's all downhill after that, right? And he said, just doesn't feel like it. It's not one of those free speed courses on the way down. So it sounds like it makes you work for it the whole way around this.
Well, looking at the times as well, so the winner, Tom Williams, did it in 5:21.
Yeah.
That's not... I know that's a longer bike, but that is...
It's way long, but it's also super tough as well, isn't it? So,
exactly.
3:20 on the bike for the leading times there.
Yeah.
It puts it in perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That it's probably an hour longer than something like the Vitruvian.
Yeah. Totally.
So Tom Williams in first, Sam Green in second, the magnificent over 45 Rob Wilson in third place, in third overall. From Knutsford Tri Club. Good on you, Rob, holding up the numbers there. Warren Mason in fourth as well in the over 50s. So fourth overall for him. Good lad. It's only a couple of minutes behind Rob. In the ladies' race, we had Sarah Harrison in first.
Yep.
In 5:59, just sneaks under the magic 6-hour barrier, which is not shabby at all.
No, really not.
Kirsty Murray in second in 6:04. And Pauline Griffin in third in 6:10. I think we really have to mention that the winning team was...
Knutsford Tri Club.
There we go. Woohoo!
No, they did brilliantly, didn't
stuff. Yeah, they did.
they? Really, really well.
Did. Good to see Robbie Wilson get over his back problems and Warren Mason racing again after dominating at Tenby. I think he got second in his age group at Tenby there, so good
raced
stuff.
A lot. He did Austria, the 70.3 Worlds, then straight to Tenby, and then...
Yeah. He did Ironman UK.
Yeah.
He did something else as well. He did Wasdale X, didn't he?
He's racked up a fair few miles this season.
Do you know, I chatted with Warren and, well, not chatted, but went back and forth over text and said, so you're off to Kona again then? And he's not taking his slot. He said, you know, I prefer to do lots of local races and spend my money racing against guys in my age group. If I go out to Kona, it's going to be super, super hot and I'm going to melt and spend loads of cash. So... good for him. And I thought about it and thought, yeah, if you're going to put aside $2,000 to go to Kona or $3,000, whatever it would be, that actually buys you probably 2 or 3 seasons worth of expensive branded race entries, doesn't it?
Totally. Absolutely.
So I wonder what they'll do next year.
It's a good debate, that one, isn't it? You know.
It is. What do you spend your cash on?
Well, yeah, what do you spend your cash on generally, but also do you take that slot to go or do you forgo it and probably have more, I don't know, more racing and really be able to pick and choose and where to spend your money, as you say.
I think if you've not been, crikey, you got to be pretty confident in yourself to not take a slot, haven't you?
Yeah.
I remember Hal Davies telling me years and years ago he won a slot at Ironman UK in about 2005 or 6 and decided not to take it. And then the next day was just like, oh my God, what have I done? And then had to go over to Austria and try and race and win the slot there, which is obviously a much more competitive field. And he managed to do it and, you know, sort the logistics and stuff like that out. Wow. But he was like, why did I ever turn that down? I can't believe I've done that.
No. See, that's the thing. You'd either no regrets or just you've got to be absolutely sure you do not want to go there. It's not right for you.
Yeah.
Anyway. Probably never have that decision to make, so it's all good. Rob,
Helen, don't say that.
On to Hever Castle.
We'll skirt past that, will we? Come back to this. I'm going to use that comment as like a lead-in link in a year's time when you've won your age group at UK and you're going, sugar, I should have paid for the slot.
No. Hever Castle, Rob, the triathlon, the Castle series, they had the finish to their sort of season as well. So it was down in
So let's talk me through this. Do they have loads of different events at the same venue with different names all through the year? Is that what it is?
No, they used to have. Well, no. In the past, they would have had one at
Is it different castles around
They had one in northern France. They had one over in Ireland. Then Hever Castle. I can't think of another one, but this.
Well, it says here the Gauntlet half iron distance will be back. And then we'll be having the long distance Bastion returning on Sunday the 12th of July. Does that mean both the Gauntlet and the Bastion were at Hever Castle and then they've just had another one now?
Don't know.
I thought you didn't have the answer.
No, I don't know that one.
I'll let you off then.
Sorry. But I know in the past they've definitely done Chumley and Normandy and Ireland.
Yeah.
Maybe they've reduced it.
Maybe. Oh, I'm all confused. There was a sprint plus a super sprint on the Saturday children's race. And then on Sunday the 27th, they had half iron middle distance, the Gauntlet, Olympic standard, the Hever, a junior and children's race called Elizabeth I.
Love that.
So you get a free history lesson as well while you're at it.
Should we start with the Olympic one?
Yeah,
okay.
Go for it.
So Callum Johnson won the men's race in 2 hours, 2 minutes and 30 seconds ahead of Sam Wade and then Liam Lloyd. In the women's race, it was Catherine Jameson, then Sarah Lewis. So, Catherine Jameson did 2:18, Sarah Lewis 2:21, and Hannah Kitchen was third in 2:25. And then in the gauntlet, That is the half iron distance. They said that they had 800 doing it this year compared
Wow.
to 200, which they had in 2013. So now you see, okay, so
Photos are beautiful, aren't they?
yeah, Ashley Herdman won in 4:47. Then second was Brennan Townsend, who we've mentioned a couple of times this season, in
Yeah.
4:48, and then Pete Dyson was third in 4:51. And then in the women's race, Kim Morrison, she was out in Austria at the 70.3 Worlds. Did she get a top 10 at 70.3 Norway this year?
I think you're right, yeah.
So she won in, wow, she had a massive win, 5:22. Second was Ruth Purbrook in 5:41. That is a huge win, isn't it?
Domination.
That is
Yeah, it really is.
impressive. And third, Kate McTeer in 5:52.
Jolly good. Right then, you guys, the Gauntlet, the Arias, Snowman, get yourselves on a conference call and decide when you're going to do your races next year and split them up a little bit. Come on, let's share the love around here. Lots of people want to race. Let's spread it out over a few different weekends.
I think that's very, very wise.
Yeah. That's what we need to do. Come on, guys, get together, have a beer, sort it out.
It's really difficult, isn't it?
It is.
Really hard.
There's a lot going on in the country now. It's really good. I love it. And it looks like we've got the numbers to sustain it as well for the next few years, doesn't it?
It's absolutely on the rise, isn't it? It's massive.
Happy days.
So, Rob, Kona.
Helen.
Kona.
I'm getting excited.
I think last week's interview with Mr. Try Rating himself was brilliant. Set the tone.
Of course, it's the man, isn't he?
Yeah, and it was really, really helpful and gave you lots to think about. And it was just fascinating. So if you haven't heard last week's episode, then go back and have a listen. And he talks about all the British prospects, doesn't he? And it's great. And so some of our Kona athletes are already out in Hawaii. Joe Skipper's out there. Lucy Gossage is out there. One of the age groupers, Charlie Pennington's out there. And I know that Claire and Duncan Shea Simmons have just arrived as well. So they've been filling us in, Rob, on what's been good and what's been bad so far.
Tell me all about it.
Well,
I'm not
Joe
going to get jealous. I'm not going to get jealous. I'm just going to sit here and chill, watching the sunset over Cheshire, not wanting to be out in Hawaii again.
First of all, Joe said he would have loved to have been part of the sprint finish that we mentioned earlier at Ironman.
That he would live for that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, so
Come on, Joe, give it to us. Talk is cheap, lad. I want you on the shoulder of, let's see, Sebastian Kienle, and I've also tipped, what's his name, the other German, Jan Frodeno.
Yeah.
I want the three of them sprinting it out down Ali Drive together.
That'd be brilliant. Brilliant. Right. Claire Shea Simmons says that Susie Cheetham was on her flight and looks frighteningly fit.
She's a dark horse, isn't she, Susie? I think she could surprise a lot of people.
She says, my tip, #one to watch.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Joe told us that he had a nice dragon fruit the other day. And some sort of tuna thing. That was his tastiest thing that he's eaten. The best thing that he's seen were a load of dolphins jumping out the water. And the best thing he's done was riding up to 1,700 meters above sea level with an awesome descent and amazing views going at 90 kilometers an hour on the tri-bars.
Oh, come on, Joe. Look after yourself, mate. Somebody get him a turbo trainer and lock him up for his own good.
He says the worst thing are the mega headwinds and crosswinds.
Yeah, still, he'll be going underneath them.
Yeah.
No worry there. The biggest headwind to worry about is the one being produced by your functional threshold power, Joe, for the people behind you.
Charlie Pennington, this is just to give a little bit of taste, a bit of colour for most of us who will probably never get out to Kona or not experience it. So Charlie Pennington said the most unique thing is how flipping expensive the supermarket is.
Oh, yeah.
He says the tastiest thing that he's eaten well, he's not eaten out properly yet, so he's not sure that his spag bowl counts. And then, they're just saying that, the expense of it all, essentially.
Yeah, open wallet surgery. Claire Shear Simmons says, like that. Open wallet surgery.
Yeah.
Funniest thing I've seen, says Duncan Shear Simmons. Claire walking through the fixed Mozzie screen for the second time today. They are a bugger. Because you've got like two doors there all the time. So you open the normal door and then there's like a framework door with a Mozzie screen on to keep the Mozzies out when the doors are open.
Yeah.
Been there a few times. I've had a few Mozzie screen imprints in my big nose and my time.
You've got to put a little post-it note on it and then you can spot it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't walk into this, yeah.
Exactly. There's a little bit of flavour. It sounds like they're all settling in nicely and getting out, training on, I want to say the Queen K.
The Queen K. Yeah, now, listen, we're going to give a shout out to Torsten's Try rating. The Kona rating report is going to be released. It'll be released by the time this goes live. It'll have just gone up. He's got loads and loads of all the different things for the pros on there. And the best thing is, you can choose how much you're paying for it. So it's got to be worth a few quid, hasn't it? Read up. Learn about the pro field. I think he'll have all the different information. It's like 90 pages long, hell, so we'll be able to go nuts on this for next week. Loads and loads of information. If you fancy it, you can even have it for free if you're a cheapskate, but I know none of the Cup of Try listeners will do that to Torsten because he puts it out there. You can tell him how much you want to pay for it, and we're not even taking a cut, are we, mate?
No.
And I was asked to give my top 3 predictions for both of them. I'm going to be one of those like little featured boxes of Coach Rob Says.
Oh, so for where? Or is that a secret?
Just within his report.
Oh,
so
okay. And who?
in there, he's got like interviewed the different people he's been in contact with of who they think's going to win. So I've gone for Jan Frodeno, Seb Kienle, and Joe Skipper in that order. Like ladies' race. I've gone for. Go on, have a guess who I've gone for.
Rinny?
No.
Rachel Joyce?
No.
Oh, God. Sorry, Daniela Ryf?
Daniela Ryf in first.
Yeah.
Rinny in second.
Yeah.
I just can't see Rinny catching Daniela Ryf this year.
Interesting.
That's my call.
And who's third?
I've gone with none other than Lucy Gossage.
Love this.
You know, somebody has to believe. Somebody has to sit there and say, Lucy, you are going to adapt to the heat. All these long training runs you've done in the heat are going to do it for you. Yeah. She's one of the fastest time trialists in the world, and people forget that. Yeah. 3:48 is blooming faster than probably any other woman in that field has ridden.
Yeah.
And that's worth remembering.
And then she can run.
And she can run. She's perhaps not quite in the same league as Rinny, run-wise, but Rinny is nowhere near as good a rider as that. I'm telling you that now for a fact. When you think that potentially she could put 15 minutes into Rinny on the bike. I'm believing for Great Britain.
Honestly, I love this. This is brilliant.
Could happen. It's not for I'm not trying to put pressure on the lady. I just think sometimes you've got to point out you are a superb athlete. When you think, right, Phil Graves went out to Kona and he was being talked about by the press as the new Wonder Bike, Superbike, superstar kid. And he'd finished third in the National 100 in the UK with like a 3:36. Yeah. Why are people not talking about her performance in the same light? It's equally as, it's arguably a better performance than Phil's was that year. It's just about the press people get, isn't it?
Yes. Yep. And I could give you, I can get out.
Go on. Who are you going to go for?
Oh, no. I'm going to give you next week.
Are you?
Spread out
the
predictions.
Keep your powder dry.
Yeah. Next week. I just think there are many reasons why Lucy's ride wouldn't have got as much press.
Because the press is really sexist. That's part of it.
That's exactly part of it. It might be that if, I don't know, this is just a possibility. If at that point Phil was still very much part of British Triathlon, or I don't know if he was at that point, but sponsors, he probably, I don't know, that would come into it. I think
I just don't know whether it's
as well.
Yeah, I think there you go. It's whether you self promote, isn't it? And it's whether you try and get yourself out there. And Lucy's the most humble and modest, lovely person you could ever hope to meet. And I don't know if you've seen on Facebook, he's done some video updates of him like running around and stuff with no shirt on. And there's one where he's done a run with Lucy, and Joe's sort of saying to her, trying to big her up, and even then she's going, "Oh yeah, whatever," totally humble about it. But I would just love it if she could nail a result there.
I would absolutely love it.
No reason she can't do.
Nope. So
I've got myself all excited.
oh dear. 2 weeks to go.
2 weeks to go. Right, so next week I'm hoping that we might get a few little sneaky interviews via Skype from the other side of the world. I'm not going to say any more than that.
Brilliant.
See what we can do by then. If we can, people are very, very busy in race week. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But if we can possibly grab 5-10 minutes of a few people's time while they're over there, we'll try and get the listeners a flavour of race week in Kona.
Fantastic.
Yeah, good stuff.
And next week we have an interview, don't we, with Lucy Charles?
We do, yeah. So Lucy Charles and Reece Barkley, the new triathlon, or the young and up-and-coming triathlon power couple, both winners of the age group at Ironman UK, both out in Kona. Lucy where was she overall? I've forgotten now at Ironman UK.
Ironman UK.
She's first age grouper.
No, she wasn't, because Kate Comber was first age grouper, wasn't she?
There you go. So she's second age group, wasn't she? But she's only she just turned 22 when we did this interview. I think it was her birthday.
Yeah.
That day or the day before.
Yeah.
So
she was first in her age group at the 70.3 World Championships.
She was, yeah.
She won her age group at Staffordshire 70.3, as did Reece. So
clocked up some awesome results between them.
Absolutely.
So we didn't manage to get a very long interview with her, but she's busy trying to get herself in a heat chamber and stuff, preparing for Kona, and I'm sure she'll be out there now. But we managed to get a few minutes of interview with her. So we'll tie up our little report here now, I think, Hells. Hand over to the interview with Lucy, and I'll catch up with you again next week. Hopefully we'll have some interviews from Kona coming up.
Fantastic. Well, you have been listening to the Cup of Tri Triathlon podcast. You can check us out on Twitter at Cup of Tri, and we're on Facebook as well.
We are indeed. I'm Coach Rob Wilby.
And I'm Helen Murray.
And keep yourself safe this week when you're out there training, especially you, Joe Skipper. Have a great training and racing week, and we'll speak to you all again next week. Cheers now. Hi there. We're very lucky and happy to welcome Lucy Charles onto the show. Lucy, how are you doing today?
Hi Rob, yeah, I'm pretty good today. I've been training hard leading into Kona, so a little bit tired, but all good.
Good stuff. Well, listen, man, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know the day we're recording now, you're still a couple of weeks away from Kona. But let's talk about this to start with. I've seen some pictures on Twitter of you training in a heat chamber. How's all that come about?
So my partner Reece, he studied sports science and made some really good contacts through that. So we're actually at Bedfordshire Uni using the heat chambers there. We're day 4 in today, ramped up the temperature to about 41.5 degrees, 65% humidity, and it is pretty tough in there. But
I bet it is, yeah.
It's pretty tough.
How long are you training for in the heat chamber at the moment?
So at the moment we're up to 90 minutes. We're hoping by the end of next week we might be able to do like a 5-hour stint, so almost get the iron distance bike in there. That's the target anyway.
I see. Pretty tough getting any kind of training done at all in that heat and humidity, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. There's a big difference in there to our climate back home at the moment. So yeah.
Yeah, there isn't a lot of heat or humidity around, is there?
Certainly not. No.
Right, so listen, I'm going to do an introduction for the listeners who haven't heard of you, well, they will have done actually, because we've talked about you quite a bit over the previous few shows and the amazing season that you've had so far this year at the ripe old age of 22. Just turned 22 in the last couple of days, actually, aren't you?
Yeah, it was my birthday on Tuesday, and I was in the heat chamber celebrating that. So. Yeah.
Wow, you know how to live it up, hey? That's dedication.
Definitely.
But so far this year, your season has consisted of the age group win at Ironman UK, the age group win at Ironman 70.3 Staffordshire, the win in the UK Championships at Grafman, the win at the World Championship 70.3 out in Austria. I mean, that's a pretty amazing season already, isn't it? Without even having got yourself out to Kona.
Yeah, I mean, Kona was sort of the ultimate goal, and everything leading up to that was almost training and trying to qualify. but it couldn't really have gone better. So yeah, I'm really happy with how the season's panned out so far.
And the thing that stood out the most to us when we were going through the results, Helen flagged this up to me. She was like, "Have you seen this girl, Lucy Charles? She's had the fastest swim out of everybody, out of all the pros even." And that was Ironman UK, wasn't it? You had the fastest female swim time of the day there. And then, now if I'm not wrong, your swim time at the World 70.3s, was that the fastest swim of the day there as well, and the fastest swim of all time?
Yeah, I think it was pretty close to the fastest swim of all time. It might have been about 4 seconds off, so the second fastest time in the history of 70.3. And I think out of all the pro women as well, it was the fastest on the day. So yeah, I had a pretty good swim that day.
You got to be happy with that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So let's talk a bit about your background. Obviously, it's a pretty good bet for me to say you must be from a swimming background, right? Talk us through sort of growing up and the kind of exercise that you did when you were younger.
So I started swimming fairly young. I think I was about 8 or 9 when I started swimming. And at the age of 9, I'd been swimming for probably about 6 months to 12 months, and I'd got county champion already. So at 9, I knew it was definitely what I wanted to do. And then I went on to become sort of regional, national champion quite young. And then I decided that I'd specialised in distance swimming, but I wanted to give open water swimming a go. So I then sort of moved into the Great Britain open water swimming squad. And from there, I travelled around quite a lot, did a few World Cup events, some European Championship events. And that has definitely helped me out moving into triathlon, having that swim background.
Yeah, sure it has. And how far are the distances that you're racing in open water when you were just a pure swimmer?
So they were sort of between 5 and all the way up to 10k, which they call the marathon event, the 10k. And that would take me about just over 2 hours to swim the 10 kilometres.
Wow. And did you have ambitions to sort of maybe go to the Olympics in the marathon open water swim?
Yeah, that was certainly the target, really. I wanted to try and make London 2012 for the 10k, but sort of just missed out really behind Kerry-Anne Payne. But I did go and watch her swim it, and it looked pretty brutal in there, to be honest, in Hyde Park. So yeah.
Pretty tough one. And then, so where did the transition to triathlon come along? How long have you been taking part?
So at the end of 2013, about August time, I was doing the Great Scottish Swim, and I had a terrible performance there. I was really not happy with it. And the sort of passion for swimming was starting to fizzle out a little bit. So me and my partner Reese, we sat down that evening and we were like, should we just enter Ironman UK? Why not? Let's just do it. And we were like, yeah, all right, we'll do it. We entered it on a charity spot, and we thought, oh, it'll give us something to sort of reset our goals towards, because swimming we'd had enough of that. So we were like, yeah, let's do that. It'll keep us training. It'll keep us fit. And yeah, that's sort of how it all happened, really.
Nice. And what year was that, did you say?
So that was about August 2013, that was.
So the first Ironman was 2014, was it?
Yeah, that was Bolton in 2014.
And then was that the only one you've done before Bolton of this year?
Yeah, that was my only full I'd done before the one this year.
Right, okay. So you've qualified for Kona basically your second Ironman there then, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I actually finished second in 2014, and after I just missed out on a spot because there's only one in the age group. And I was like, right, I've got to come back next year. I really want to make Kona. So I worked a lot harder leading into Bolton this year.
Good stuff. And then obviously coming into this year, do you have much of a background as either a cyclist or a runner, or were you completely new to both of them?
I was a fairly decent runner. I used to run for school in the cross country and athletics, but cycling, oh my God, I was absolutely awful. I'm part of a tri club in Hoddesdon, and they're a brilliant bunch. And when I first got on a bike, they thought it was so funny because they were like, you might be able to swim, but you certainly cannot ride a bike. And I fell off quite a few times on my first few sessions with them. So quite amusing for all of them.
And look at that, a year later, you're the world champion.
Yeah, I certainly didn't expect it to move that quickly, that's for sure.
So I was noticing through your blog, you knocked off, what was it, like 30 odd minutes off your bike time from Ironman UK last year to this year?
Yeah, I think it was about 30 minutes. And I mean, the conditions this year were much worse than the year before. So I was really happy with that. And I really had sort of focused more on the bike because I knew that's where I needed to make the biggest improvement.
Yeah, sure. And so really with only a couple of years in the sport, it's reasonable to expect that your biking is gonna, usually we see a really solid progression for a kind of 5 year period when people first get really into biking. And it can even continue to improve obviously much longer than that. So with you winning the world championships in your age group in what's essentially, only the beginning of your second year on a bike, that's got to give you a lot of excitement going forward, right?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And I think I'll continue to work on the bike because I know that it's my weakest of the three. I want to try and get that. If it can be as strong as my swim, then that would be perfect. That's where I want it to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was looking at the splits. You were kind of like 50 minutes on the swim, about 6:30 on the bike, and then you run. Would that have been around the 3:30 mark, something like that?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think it was about 3:34 my run at the end of Bolton. So
Good. Yeah, nice. Solid race there. Cool. So you're off to Kona in a few weeks' time, which has got to be super, super exciting. What are your hopes for being out there? Is it one of those you're just going to go and see and take in the experience, or have you got like a burning hope that you might actually place in your age group out there?
I suppose it's pretty similar to the World Champs or the 70.3 World Champs in Austria. I went there not really knowing what to expect, having not had much experience. I didn't know what the standard would be like in my age group. So having finished first there, I'd like to try and do the same in Kona, whether that is doable. Obviously, I'm going to give it my best shot. I don't know what the standard the rest of my age group will be like. But yeah, to go and win the double is what I'm aiming to do.
Good for you. I suppose one of the real big benefits you've got being your age is that everybody in your age group will have a similar sort of endurance background to you in terms of racing Ironman. There can't really be anybody who's got a massive wealth of experience of having raced lots of them, because the oldest person in the age group is going to be 24, right? So they're only going to have had maybe a 4 year background in Ironman racing, if that. So that's something you can take heart from, isn't it?
Yeah, that's definitely, everyone's in a very similar boat in the age group who are all quite young. So, yeah, that is a definite confidence boost.
Nice. And listen, talk us through your race at the 70.3 World Champs. How did that go for you? Because it was all wave starts, wasn't it, that day?
Yeah, so I was actually the last wave to start. So I had watched everyone else start. I'd watched my fiance Reece start. I'd seen everyone start. So it was trying to remain calm in that time, really, because you had a lot of time for nerves to build up and get too hot as well, because it was quite warm out in Austria. So I think I stayed quite calm, watched everyone. I got to see the swim course, although I had swum it a few times leading into the race. So the swim went really to plan. It was the two youngest female age groups were in my wave, so I had a solid start there. The aim was to get out and try and get the fastest swim split, and then I knew I could almost relax a little bit if I did that, because I was like, I've done what's my best part of the race. I've done that justice. I've come out first, and then I'll see what happens on the rest of the race.
Yeah. Did you end up swimming through a lot of people from previous waves?
Yeah, I think
It must be carnage out there, right?
it was a little bit of carnage. Yeah, I caught the two waves in front of me, so there was sort of the slower swimmers in those waves I had to try and swim through and wiggle my way around them. So that may have impacted on my time slightly, but not too much.
Right, okay. And would you mind talking us through a kind of, I'm really interested in asking the really elite performers about their training and what they do on a kind of week-to-week basis, and seeing if we can pick up any ideas that'll help people that are listening. So what does your standard week consist of, if there is such a thing?
So a standard week, I'll try and swim up to about 15 kilometres a week. Some of that may be sort of high intensity intervals, working on sort of lactate tolerance and trying to really push the intensity up, because that will help everything really if you can get some tolerance in the swim. So yeah, I swim quite regularly. On usually a Sunday morning, I will do a track session. I've started working with Mark Ratcher from Mark One Coaching, and we will go to the track every Sunday and sort of do pace work. Some of that will be high intensity, and some of it will be trying to work at your Ironman pace or 70.3 pace. So yeah, a lot of pace work running, and then on a Thursday night I will go to my club run session as well, and that's usually high intensity intervals as well. And I'll try and add in sort of a long slow run every week as well, so quite a bit of running in there also.
Okay, so you're at the moment kind of doing a lot of high intensity type work, which I imagine your body will absorb quite nicely, being from a massive aerobic background from your days as an Olympic swimmer. How about your bike training? How many times a week are you riding?
Nearly every day I'm probably on the watt bike or my turbo. Before we went into the heat chamber, we decided that it'd be a good idea to put heaters on whilst we was on the bikes, and we were getting the room up to about 30 degrees. So we wanted to almost get used to that before we went bam into the chamber where we'd get the humidity as well. So we were doing long bike sessions with some heat as well. But yeah.
Interesting. So you spent a lot of time practicing getting hot. How big a benefit is it, do you think, that your partner Reese is involved in the sport as well? Do you guys train together a lot?
Yeah, we do a huge amount of our training together. He was sort of the one who'd be in charge of setting our training, so whatever he did, I would just do as well, and that seemed to work pretty well for me, to be honest. So I've got a lot of thanks to him for where I've got to. We're certainly very competitive with each other. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it isn't. Especially in the pool, we're very competitive because we both used to be swimmers. Although Reese used to be a sprint swimmer, his endurance has got a lot better from coming into triathlon. So yeah, we're very competitive in the pool, that's for sure.
Yeah, now Reese, he won his age group at 70.3 Staffordshire as well, I remember, didn't he? And he's also qualified for Kona, yeah?
Yeah, he won his age group at Ironman UK as well. So we're both off to Kona, which should make the experience all that better as well.
Are you putting the claim into the Baylis's triathlon power couple thing here, aren't you?
Certainly, yeah, very early on as well.
It's a lot of years to go, yeah, a lot of years of saving up to go to Kona a lot of times. Now listen, looking forward, would you ideally like to turn pro? Is that the big dream? I know some people think it is and some people think it isn't, but how does that play out in your head?
Yeah, it's definitely on the cards. It's where I'd like to get to. Whether I do that next year or the following year, I'm not entirely sure yet. It'll probably be a decision after Kona, see how I get on there. I'm obviously quite young as a professional if I do go into that. I think I've got a few years before I get up to their level, but that's definitely the target.
Because did you finish, I think, 6th or 7th overall at Ironman UK, even amongst the pros, when we looked at your time there?
Yeah, it was definitely in the top 10. So had I been a pro, I would have been in the top 10. So, yeah. Yeah.
So, firstly, you're going to save a load of money on race entry fees, aren't you, racing as a pro? That's one big benefit.
Yeah, that's definitely a benefit. Definitely a benefit.
Now, I noticed you're starting to pick up sponsors already, which is great. Who are some of the people that have helped you and Reese out so far?
So one of our biggest sponsors is Moonlight Design, and they have really helped us out, especially in the build up to Kona. They've been a big help to us. We're actually very good friends with them, so that's been a really good relationship that we've built up with them, and they've certainly made the journey a lot easier, especially this year as we seem to have jumped up quite a bit, so they've made it a much easier transition. Another sponsor I've got is Active Training World, and they are sort of a very local events company. They put on triathlons and aquathons, and they've again been a big boost into the 2 World Championships events and made that a lot easier for me.
Good stuff. And how about you must be at the stage now where you're starting to attract equipment sponsors and people giving you free bits and bobs as well. What have you found that works really well for you?
Well, one of my newest sponsors, which I'm really happy about, is Bikebox Allen, and I'm a little bit pink obsessed, so they've given me a pink bike box to ship my bike off to Kona. So it'll make it a lot easier for me to spot that on the conveyor belt when my bike comes off. So yeah, I'm really happy about that one.
Nice. That's brilliant. And how long have you got before you go out to Kona now?
So we leave a week on Monday, so just over a week until we fly out there.
Nice, exciting stuff. Well, listen, I can tell you've got loads and loads of stuff to get done. It's been really, really interesting having you on the show and listening to your journey so far. We'd love to have you back on in the future if you'll come back on and maybe tell us how you guys have got on over in Kona. But on behalf of all the listeners from the Cup of Tri, we wish you all the best for your exploits in Kona, and it's pretty clear with the natural talent you guys have got that a pro career is out there in front of you for the taking. So we look forward to watching your progress over the coming years.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. Yeah, I look forward to be back soon.
No worries. Listen, thanks very much, and we'll speak to you again soon.